The one question I've probably received more than any other is what do I think about the Revenant Shortbow? Now, there hasn't been a whole lot of gameplay with this weapon on my channel, and that's for a few very good reasons. In this video, I wanted to talk about the weapon, go through its mechanical intricacies, and give you everything that you need to know about Revenant's possibly most complex weapon. Before we get into it, I just wanted to say that I upload Guild Wars 2 content just about every week in 4K. That sounds like your kind of thing. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. So the reason that you haven't seen very much Shortbow gameplay at all from me is because I truly believe that the Shortbow is an amazing weapon for new players and a great weapon for very, very experienced players. But I think for the average Guild Wars 2 player, the average Joe, it's actually a really, really bad weapon. Now, let me explain. I tend to find that there's three levels of Shortbow enjoyers. Now, we've got the fresh install. Maybe he just bought Path of Fire. He thinks the Shortbow is super cool. He doesn't know a lot about the game, but don't we love him? He's just so cute. And then level 2 is maybe somebody who's watched a YouTube video or two, maybe a Worldy World player comes to PvP. Can't kill anything for the life of him with that Shortbow. And then on the very high end, we've got the mechanical demons who annihilate everybody with this weapon. The voices and the marks. So what gives? How can I say that the noobs love this weapon and the pros love this weapon, but somehow it's not a good weapon for the everyman, for the average Joe in the middle? Now the reason being, the Shortbow seems like a very easy, very simple weapon, and it works really well in low-rated PvP. However, it has a bunch of counters and a bunch of mechanical intricacies which can make your skills not work and can make you get completely shut down without even realizing it. So I'm going to explain that for you here. So let's talk about some of these Shortbow skills here. Now the auto attack and 7-shot share an attribute, and that attribute is the fact that they only work when the target's ahead of you. You see, when I'm auto-attacking here, if I walk through this target, suddenly it no longer works. And it's the same thing for 7-shot, where if I cast it, and in the middle of the cast, the target moves, look, it didn't go off, and it put it on the full cooldown duration. We'll see that one more time. See, I've cast it, and if I move through, okay, that time it happened to work, but the idea being, these skills will not work if the target is getting in front of you, getting close to you, trying to get behind you. So think like, for instance, if a thief jumps on you, if a sword dagger thief jumps on you, or another revenant or a willbender, if they're getting up in your face, these skills simply are not going to go off. And this one is even going to get put on its full cooldown. Look at that. It won't do it. So, what's really important is positioning and movement and mechanics with these skills, because this is an entirely offensive weapon. There's nothing really on here that's very defensive. So you need to be mindful of your spacing and your positioning, and how you do so is I recommend the Shortbow on some sort of rev with an increased movement speed. For that, I like Herald. So let's see here. The auto attack, the main thing you have to remember is keep your distance. Keep a healthy distance between you and the target so that they can't get behind you and stop it. Okay, so you want to be keeping a healthy distance between you and your target. Now, Shortbow 2 is really nice because look at this. If I'm turned away, this skill will still hit the target. So for this skill, you actually want to try to use it specifically when you're running away. And you can combo that with an about face to ensure that that's happening. So you're going to about face and then cast it so that you can do it while running away. And that will allow you to keep this nice healthy distance between you and your target so that you can get those off. So to further that point, with 7-shot, remember this is one of the ones where the target needs to be ahead of us, but we want to be keeping a safe distance. So how we accomplish that is we cast our 7-shot, and we're going to watch for the progress bar that's going to come up, the orange progress bar. Once that bar is complete, you're going to want to about face to maintain that distance. So watch here. Progress bar completes, and then you about face to keep that distance. Okay? So keeping that healthy gap of space is essentially what's going to keep you alive, because there's nothing on here that's going to do anything to keep you alive. It's all offensive, every single skill here. So everything is down to your positioning and your ability to kite and move. Now the 4 is much the same as the 2, where it can be casted freely anywhere. So you can see I can cast it behind me, and this can be used as well when you're being chased by an enemy to slow them down, slow their chase down. So that can be used defensively somewhat, but that's just one thing to keep in mind. So your 2 and your 4, you're going to be wanting to use while you're running away. And then for our 7 shot, we want to use that technique where we complete it and then about face. See, all the damage goes off, and meanwhile we're running away to safety. So, you know, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to be remembering which was what and what I need to be facing backwards and all that stuff, that's fine. I don't recommend the Shortbow for that purpose, because you have to do a lot of little micromanaging of all this stuff, all this about facing. And if you're somebody who plays with action cam, honestly, just go ahead and forget this weapon. It just simply will not work, because you're going to be locked into looking at them to cast everything, and you're not going to be able to make use out of this weapon in any way, shape, or form. So this weapon requires free camera, and it requires about facing, because if you do not, you're going to find that people are jumping on you, and you're not going to get your 7 shots off, and you're not going to get auto attacks off, and you're just going to be shut down. So let's talk about matchups when you've got the Shortbow here. So I've got this set up so the top is in red, and this is stuff that counters you, and as it goes down and gets greener, the matchup is more favorable in your court. Now, the very first things, the things that are going to counter you the very hardest, are going to be your thieves, the daredevils, deadeyes. If they're running sword dagger, you're going to have a bad time, and you're going to be wishing that you pick the hammer instead, because the hammer is just a better weapon to be fighting these guys. Now, very next is the Revenant brothers. These guys are going to be porting in on you, and if you do not have the hammer, you are very unfavored in the matchup between other Revenants, and you're going to be wishing you brought it. So they're up here as well. Now we've got Tempest and Catalyst up here. These are the LE specs that A, you're going to see, and B, do damage. These guys are always going to be reflecting. They have things like Mag Shield and Mag Aura, and they're going to be reflecting your projectiles back at you non-stop. Support Firebrand is up here as well. You know that bubble in Tome 3 is up to 7-second duration now. They got Shield 5. They got all kinds of projectile hate in their kit. You won't see a lot of them, but when you do, you're not going to be very effective. Now, things that favor them, you got Untamed. They can port it on you. They've got projectile hate baked in. You can say this favors them. Hollow as well. They reflect projectiles. They're going to be up in your face doing big damage. Now, the Warrior Brothers as well. A lot of the times they're taking Shield Master nowadays, which means that they're going to be reflecting back at you, and they're just generally very tanky. Now, neutral things, we've got DH and Scrapper. Core Support Guard as well, it's fine. You know, they've got a little bit of projectile hate, but not nearly as much as Firebrand, so that's why it is here. Now, here's where we are getting good. This is the stuff that favors us. We've got the 3 Necro triplets in here. Anything that is a tanky bunker that's slow and doesn't have projectile denial, you're going to do very well against. So all of the Necro specs are down here. Spectre as well, because Spectre is not like the other 2 Thief specs. It's more of a slow burn and is not really focused on getting up in your face. It, you know, kind of pew-pews you from range, so that really favors you. Berserker as well. It's a bunkery spec with not really much projectile denial, so it's in there. Mesmer as well is just kind of in here, and the remaining Ranger stuff. Last but not least, you definitely counter Scourge, and you definitely counter Willbender. Willbender just generally does not do well against Revenant, and that is no different if you take the Shortbow. You'll see lots of that in the coming clips. Okay, so I've got 3 clips here. The first 2 are me countering the enemy players, and the last clip is actually me being countered. So we've got to fight against a Harp. Now the name of the game is keeping my space and distance. So he aggresses on me, so I'm walking away. I'm turning away. I can hit him with a little bit of damage from down below, and he drops down. And so at this point, I can Shortbow 2 on him. even though he's all the way off to the side, because the Shortbow 2 has really nice tracking and pathing. And I'm looking to line up a Shortbow 3, so I see he's going for the jump pad. And once he gets on the jump pad, I Shortbow 3 and swap to Assassin at the same time, because I know that while he's doing that jump, he's going to be locked in. And now I go between him, the jump pad, and the worm, so that I can wait for him to go where he wants to go, and then port in on him and finish the kill. So that was a pretty good example of this build's ability to counter certain things. And here's another one with the Necro, right? This is a Reaper, I believe it's a Condi Reaper, and this is quite a slow build nowadays. I think most of them aren't even running the worm anymore. So I Shortbow 5, or Shortbow 4 while running away. Now I Shortbow 2 while running away. And you got to make the most of that skill. Shortbow 5 into the swap into Assassin, so I can get my 7-shot with the quickness. And I expect him to pop Shroud here, but he does not. So I've just backed up a bit. But then the Mesmer jumps on top of me, and then when that happens, that is my key to jump on him and finish that kill. So the spacing, you know, keeping a good healthy distance between you and the enemy and is very key. And here's an example of me getting countered. You see there's an enemy Deadeye, and basically what happens is he makes it so that I can only do damage or defend myself, right? And he can port in and out on me as much as he wants with his Sword 2. And I go Shortbow to try and get some damage, but he roots me and starts shooting me, so there's nothing I can do. I have to stun break to get away. I jump down, he ports back up, ports back down. I try to get some damage. He ports back up again. I look at the LE when I shouldn't have been looking up, and while he's up there, he gets me. So just completely countered. That's an example of why you don't want to play this against those guys.
Start soon.
Okay, so now we've got a full gameplay here, and this isn't clipped or cut. You know, there's going to be some moments where I suck and where I die, and there's a enemy Vindicator with a hammer, and there's also an enemy Deadeye. So this isn't a particularly good game to play this build, but there were a few specs on the enemy team that were favorable for me. So this definitely isn't a weapon that you want to use in all matchups, and this was probably not one of them. But I don't want to be a channel that just shows highlights. I want to be a channel that shows everything and shows the good and the bad, right? So anyways, coming into our first mid-fight here, and our opening split is really messy, and we're already outnumbered. Sort of, there's only 2 of us that actually came to mid if you look at our map. And so we're fighting outnumbered below the point. I try and bail my friend out, but it's too late. He's already died, and now I've got the Vindicator on me. I try to CC him off of me, but it doesn't work. And at this point, the Deadeye is now on me, and the Vindicator, and if you remember our matchups, those are both not good for me. I probably could have played this better. I think I should have rolled backwards there and kept running. But looking at my map, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. I think I was just dead there. So, okay, I died. We will skip ahead to the respawn. Now, first thing I do when I come off respawn is I look at my map. And I want to get a quick plus on this fight and end this here. So, he puts his block up, so I'm waiting for that to come down, and now I'm just kind of chasing him around and waiting for an opportunity to do some damage. My teammate sadly dies, but that doesn't mean that I need to let off here. So I port out of the Deadeye's range onto the Vindy again now, and I don't realize that behind me my other teammate also died. Oh no, so I'm 3v1, and I get killed one more time here. So like I said, not a perfect game, and if you look at the scoreboard now, the enemy team has got about a 100-point lead, so we've got our work cut out for us here. So 2 great examples of this build being countered, but my team has gotten a good chunk of the enemy Vindicator's health down, and so I can just come in and finish this off. So we do that. Now, I want to roam around the map and get kills. I don't really want to get stuck with this Ellie who is playing Zoo Tycoon. So I find the Wheelbender. I do want to fight the Wheelbender. He kind of ports up to me, but he doesn't really commit. And we're just kind of sizing one another up here. We both kind of are aggressive, explosive classes. I know it's quite common for them to port on me through this wall, so I'm kind of ready for it. I get my heal primed and ready to go, and I'm waiting for it just in case. I step back. I can see that the Willbender is looking at me, but I'm going to be peeling for my teammate here. And remember, they like to port through this wall on you. Let's see if it happens. And there it is. I knew it was coming, but I've got my heal ready to go here. I fat finger my bloody H key when I'm trying to hit G, and I pull up my equipment, but I get a nice CC on him. You know, when a Willbender bursts you, you have a lot of tools that you can use to deal with it. Like, I just popped my glint heal, and I eat the entire burst, so I get him down pretty handily, but then super sloppy of me here. I let the Necro walk all over me, essentially, and I die for it. So I tried to get up close and personal. There was no need for that, and that's kind of the exact opposite from what you want to do. Hey, look at that cute little bumblebee. I wonder if he's hiding perhaps a rude message. Anyways, so I played that incorrectly. It would have been better for me to stay with some spacing between the down and myself and just hit it from range. So now we're in the hole by 150 points. I see that the Vindy's going to port through onto my teammate, so I port onto the Vindy as well to try and get him off. Throwing some damage onto him, but sadly my teammate falls. You see that the Vindy has got his hammer 4 up, so he's negating a lot of my projectiles. I need to just kind of run away. Quick Connie cleanse with the glint F2. And just looking for a way in here. Vindy ports back up again. So I'm not sure who to worry about more at this point, the Vindy or the enemy Necro. So I'm running away, and I'm trying to keep pressure on this Necro. It may not have been the best play, but I've got a lot of cooldowns in my glint heal, so I felt quite confident. Need to dodge this Spear of Archimedes, so we get that dodge. I've got my glint heal, gonna try and maximize this, so pop it now. He's a clever guy, he's a good Revenant, so he stows. Now I'm in a very undergunned 1v1 here, but I dodge his Greatsword 5, huge CC, and that allows me to get the kill there. So that was a very, very, very well-timed Shortbow 5 that wins us that fight. Now the enemy Willbender is running around. You have to be a little bit picky with when you choose to port in on these guys because they've got such good disengage. You don't want to use your port and it be all for nothing here. So he ports in on me, and I take that as a cue to use my glint heal, and I get a nice big heal off of it. Now gathering up some energy to port in on him, so I get that, and now I can port. And at this point, he is pretty well done. I just need to catch him. So just be patient, get your assassin, get your teleport, and finish the kill. All good there. So yeah, Revenant in general does quite well into Willbender. When I'm on Rev, I don't really worry about any Willbenders. And when I'm on Willbender, I have a heck of a lot of trouble against enemy Revs. So come into this fight, Shortbow 5 to knock the enemy Rev down, and then use Shortbow 3 with impossible odds to finish him off there. And look at that. So we basically turn that winning duel against the enemy Rev into that kill, plus the Willbender kill, plus another kill on the enemy Rev, plus now a kill on the Reaper. And if you look at the scoreboard now, we are up. We're winning. We are out of our deficit. I see the Willbender here, and you can see he's just kind of running around owning my team. So I kind of need to keep him at bay in order to protect them. So I'm chasing him around. This fight sucks. The Willbender here is here, the Ellie's here, the Deadeye's here. I don't like this, but they're right in front of our spawn, and a teammate respawns on top of the Willbender, jumps down on top of him, and we get that kill off of it. So, one kill there, and on the node, the enemy Deadeye gets killed as well, which is great. So at this point, we are looking at the map and just trying to finish this kill on the Ellie. Okay, Ellie's finally dead. And I go to roam around here, but I get absolutely betrayed by my teammates. One teammate goes beast, the other teammate goes far, and they just completely leave this node. I'm not a side noder. I don't want to be sitting here on this node. But if nobody's going to cap it, then I have to cap it. There's no choice. So come back and finish the Ellie, cap the node. My teammate grabs the beast. I ask him politely to go to mid, because that's where we need him. The enemy Necro is here, but I'm not really scared of him in 1v1. I just sit in the fear ring with my block up for a bit. I eat the chill to the bone like a bit of a noob. But let's see here. It's that in and out, right? I want to be keeping a bit of a distance. And let's see here. Teammate ports in, and so right as he ports, I swap to Assassin and Shortbow 3 to hit him for like 10k right as my teammate is also bursting him. Now this is a really, really close game. We are not winning the map. We only have one node, and the enemy has 2 nodes. And we have a downed teammate at mid now. So I need to fly in here, and I need to change the trajectory of this fight if I can. So, looking around, I want to get this Deadeye. But remember, we do really, really poorly against Deadeyes. I try and no-scope him with a longbow or a Shortbow 5. But there's just nothing I can do. He just completely annihilates my health bar in 0.1 second. Luckily, I CC him with my Downstate 2 ability just as my friend queues up a Dragon Hunter True Shot on him, and so he gets ends up getting killed. But yeah, if you run into a Deadeye on even ground, you're going to have a really, really hard time. So at this point, we're up by just a couple points. It's anybody's game. I want to win some fights. I want to generate some kills here. So I'm going into far now. The Deadeye is here. I want to make sure that he doesn't decap mid. I don't really want to fight him, but I don't want him to decap our node here. So I'm using line of sight. The Willbender ports in on me the exact same way he did before, so I kind of knew that was coming. I use my longbow 2 while looking away in order to get that damage while he's behind me. And somehow I win that unbelievable 2v1 against the Deadeye and the Willbender at the same time. I don't even know how I did it, but there we go. And that's about the end of the game. And this was a pretty good game. I think this is the one that got me back into plat after throwing with the Shortbow forever. And yeah, pretty good one. Well, there we have it. Another long guide-style video in the books. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that you feel well-equipped to say either, I'm going to learn how to use this Shortbow, or say, I don't like the Shortbow, I'm not going to use that thing. I'm still probably team non-Shortbow, but for those who enjoy it, I hope that I have given you the tools to level up your gameplay and do a little bit better with it. So, anyways, if this was helpful for you, I'd really appreciate knowing about it. And if you'd like to see more weapons like videos like this about weapons and things like that, let me know. It takes a lot of effort to do these long form guide style videos. So, but anyways, yeah, that's all for me. I will see you guys next week.